If you think feeding teenagers are bad, you should see Tammy's grocery list. Now back to the Pet Project with your host, Tammy Trujillo. Down.
Oh, they eat, don't they? I tell ya. I think I own stock in 2 of the big box pet stores here in Southern California and then some. But we're going to talk now about a little puppy dog who I doubt you go into hawk feeding this one. And yeah, I've been talking about this puppy since we started the show. I've been talking about this puppy since the beginning of the week. I think everybody I've met, I've said, have you heard about Beyonce? And they go, the singer? And I say, well, yeah, but no, I'm talking about a puppy named Beyonce. And there's a reason this puppy is named Beyonce. And there's a reason that this puppy has been on Good Morning America and all over the place. And we are joined now. We are so lucky to get this interview. We've been pushing for it all week long. And we are fortunate enough to have with us Grace DiCaprio, or Beth DiCaprio, I'm sorry, of the Grace Foundation. And Beth, thank you so much for being with us. I know you've had a whirlwind week.
Oh, thank you so much for having us on. We're delighted to be on the air today.
Where have you been all week long? What have you been doing?
Well, we've been in New York, and it looked worse than it was. We actually were able to stay pretty tight in the hotel. It was really nice, but we've been to Good Morning America on April 10th. We taped a segment for Anderson Cooper, and it's going to air on April 10th. We were at the Associated Press, and so it's been amazing, incredible.
Okay, now that's a lot of stuff, and it's all on behalf or because of Beyonce. So let's catch everybody up. Beyonce, she's what now? She is, my math is, I'm not a math major. What is she, 23 days old?
Well, you know what? I should have. She was 3 weeks on Thursday.
Okay, so I'm right.
Yes, so about, yes.
Okay, tell us Beyonce's story. I've given pieces and bits. I want to hear it from the person who has all the details. So give us her whole story, Beth. This is so wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, Beyonce came from the DeVore Animal Control, which is in San Bernardino, California. We have done several large rescues from that facility, and it is a facility that definitely has some controversy surrounding it. What our mission at the Grace Foundation is to take dogs that would otherwise be euthanized that for whatever reason have been put on the euthanasia list or have failed temperament. Mm-hmm. And in this case, and there's an incredible group of people, individuals who go to the shelter and identify dogs that should not be on that list, and then they contact rescues to see if they'll pull them. So we were contacted about little Casey, which is Beyonce's mom, mm-hmm. and she was very young, Min Pin, Dachshund, Chihuahua cross, but she was so late-term pregnancy that they would not abort them, and so then they were slated for euthanasia. And that is, what is typical in California with the Hayden's Law. We do require spay and neutering out of all shelters, which is a great law. Unfortunately, for our youngest individuals that end up at the shelters, they cannot be spayed or neutered, and the agencies are not able to hold on to them. So
they're kind of caught in a funny position there, then, aren't they? Yeah,
it is, and we see hundreds of pregnant dogs and cats that go through the shelters and are slated for euthanasia. So Casey was one of those. And sadly, Casey is under a year old. It was her first heat that she was impregnated, and she was found on the streets. So she had survived on the streets. Then she went to the shelter, the agency, where we think that they'll be safe, and she was going to be put to sleep. She arrived in Sacramento at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we picked her up, and she was huge. We took her over to our small animal vet, Blue Ravine Animal Hospital, and they did an ultrasound and determined that there were 5 puppies in the litter. Unfortunately, they said that one of them had not fully developed and looked like that it would be, was a non-viable fetus and would be stillborn. So she was a very, very sweet little one, and I took her home to my house to foster, and a couple days later she birthed. We made it through the first 4, and it was pretty uneventful. They were very healthy, and then came the 5th, and I knew we were probably going to see, a puppy who had passed. But when little Beyonce came out, she actually moved a little bit and did an agonal breath, which is kind of reflex. But she was so cute and so tiny. My large animal vet was with me, and I said, "Oh, please, would you try to see if he could get her heart beating. And he did little compressions on her chest, and in just a few seconds, her heart was beating. And he did a couple more, and really, it really started to go. And then he handed her off to me and said, "You could do the mouth to mouth." She still wasn't breathing, and so I just did some tiny little breaths, and he kept saying, "Not too much, or you can expand her lungs too far." But she started to breathe, and really, she just, it was completely her will and determination that kept her going. So the first week, at that point, she was an ounce, and I had no idea. I actually found the picture that I took of her in the spoon, but she fit in a teaspoon when she came, and we bottle fed her. She was clearly too small to actually be nursed, and so I carried her around in the front of my top and kept her warm and bottle fed her every hour, and she just continued to grow. And we had a wonderful photographer who took some pictures. I was saying, I just have never seen one this small. Take her on an iPhone, and we were actually just having fun. But somebody on Facebook posted it as world's smallest puppy, and a media outlet local saw it, and that's kind of how the whole thing started.
Oh, I've seen the picture in the spoon, Beth. Oh my gosh! I mean, she's like 1.5 inches long.
Yeah, she is tiny. She is actually growing really well, and we're thrilled that she just had her 3-week checkup, and she got a clean bill of health. Mm-hmm. But she is very, very small
her
comparatively.
Eyes are open now.
They are, and she's actually progressing like a normal puppy. She's on me. I'm holding her, so in hopes that if you hear any funny little sounds, it's actually Beyonce making noise. I don't know if you can.
We hear her.
That.
We do. We hear her.
Yes.
Hi, Beyonce.
Yes. So she's just squeaking, but she's developing just like her litter mates, just much, much smaller.
All right. So everything's working with her. She's perfect so far.
She's doing great. And if you look at the pictures, if you look closely, there's a spot on her head that has no hair. It looks like a real bald spot. And the placenta was not developed, correctly. But I asked our vet about it, and she said, I'm going to say that that's where she was kissed by an angel. So she probably won't have hair there, but she's got a cute little spot, and she really is our, the country's miracle baby.
Oh, my gosh. Stay with us, Beth, because there's been, you've taken her all over, and it's not just about Beyonce being so adorable and cute. You've got another message, and I want to make sure we get that on the air. So stay with us, Beth, over the break. And please go to Tammy Trujillo's Pet Project. We got a picture of her in the Good Morning America Cup. You got to see it. We'll be right back on the Pet Project.
How old is the roof on your home? If it's over